Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Every one of you here, some of you came later, some of you came earlier, but from those who started from the beginning, you would have heard one after the other stories of heroism, one after the other, whether they be men or they be women, whether they be from the Muslim creed or from the Christian creed and then later became Muslim, whether they be old or young, whether they be black or white. You heard one after the other stories of such heroism that are beyond imagination. And I can't top what was said by the others in that regard. But what I want to put in perspective right now is that this heroism and this energy wasn't there because there was any type of mass motion, any type of mass movement, any type of everybody was into it. I need to actually take you back and put you in the perspective of who these Ansar were. Because I asked that to myself. Most of the time I heard what they did, and that's wonderful, and that's very good. But to know who the Ansar were in a more important, in a different angle, in a deeper angle, there's one thing that I have to point out to you. Let me take you back to the year 61 in the Hijrah. Okay, and as fast as possible, in the most simple terms, let me describe to you what was going on at that time. A vile and tyrannical, cruel man has assumed the caliphate of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, such as he will be able to take on the affairs of the Muslims and do with them as he pleases in the name of God. Unanimously, the Muslim Ummah, all of them, okay, did not record any form of protest except for three men, and the most important of them is Imam Hussein ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib. Everybody had pledged allegiance to Imam Hussein. Next, Imam Hussein makes his refusal to pledge allegiance and to legitimize this rule public through Hajj. During the Hajj pilgrimage, he makes a known speech in which he tells people that he is going to go, and all those that are going to follow him are going to meet a certain death. No doubt about it. He's going to his death. No fiery speeches, nothing saying, guys, let's go, we have to save Islam. Why don't you come and save Islam with me? None of that. I am going to my death. He explained to the people that although he was going to meet his death, and all those who would follow him would meet their death, and this was said way from the get-go, starting in Mecca, okay? He also explained that this death was in fact a martyrdom that would be attained by the people who would fight in one of the most historic battles between good and evil, and it would be the most important and one of the most important battles to save Islam and to preserve Islam. Sounds good, right? Today it sounds good. We're all here because of that. At that time, nobody understood what Imam Hussein was talking about. He talked all that. It's not like people said, yes, let's go. Nobody understood what he was talking about. And some people thought they knew better and started dissuading Imam Hussein and telling him that, you know what, you shouldn't go. This is political suicide. You're going to be killed. The Kufans betrayed your father and your brother, and now they're going to betray you. Come on. That's what they were telling him. And these were great people that said that. These were people of great influence. These weren't the Umayyads. These were people in the direct circle of Imam Hussein of great influence. And some people were ready to turn their backs on Imam Hussein and put their pledge of allegiance to him for sale. It was up for sale. They sold their pledge of allegiance to Imam Hussein. It went for a couple of dirhams, 1,000 at times, 500 at times. It went for sale, and they killed Imam Hussein. They went to fight Imam Hussein. Only a few, you have to understand this, only a few people at that time thought that Islam dictated that they should follow Imam Hussein in this most absolute way, and the rest of them couldn't be concerned with what Islam had to say. That's the context. Everybody's telling you you're crazy. That's the context. So when you want to remember all this heroism that took place and that was described so eloquently by the ones that came before, then you should understand what was the context, what was the psychological context. Most of the time, if you ever take part in a football team or a hockey team or any of those teams, any sports team, you know that the coach is actually the one, when the speech the coach is going to give right before the game is essential. And you can project that to a leader who's leading a battle. The talk that is said before the game is essential. It's the one that brings about determination and courage and makes the people fearless. And it's the one that shows and reflects the greatness of the coach or the leader and reflects the greatness of the followers. That speech can tell you about both of them. Well, in the time of in the night before the battle of Karbala, what Imam Hussein said to his guys and his men was the following. Instead of calling them to actually come forward and give more and put down their lives for his sake, he told them, guys, thank you very much for what you've done. May God reward you for all that you have done so far. And instead of telling them, guys, tomorrow I need to convince you that we need to go and fight and we need to go and kill these, we need to go and defeat the other army. Don't leave me alone. He tells them, guys, wholeheartedly and sincerely, you guys have nothing. I am not asking you to stay with me. You can go. You can go, and there will be absolutely nothing that will hold against you if you do that. He's not lying, he's not being hypocritical. It's not like us, we say something, we do something else sometimes. Okay? That's what he told them. And the reason why he told, and that's like, it's like, wait a minute, I need my fiery speech. Like now I'm going to feel a little bit unsure about going tomorrow. It wasn't like that. Because the fact of the matter is that what Imam Hussein wanted to tell us about him and about his greatness, remember I told you the speech reflects the greatness of the coach and the greatness of the team, that this particular cause does not need convincing. If you had this particular cause does not need convincing. This is something you've been convinced of all along in your life because you've been living up with righteousness. You've been living a life of righteousness. That when you see the grandson of Prophet Muhammad fighting to save Islam, you don't need convincing. And that's exactly what the Ansar did. They told him, we're going to leave you. Muslim ibn Awsajah was one of those Ansar, like all the other ones that were described. And when Imam Hussein had said what he said, Muslim ibn Awsajah said, is it us that are going to leave you? How are we going to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and be asked about your right upon us? With what will we face Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? By God, I will take this javelin and thrust it into the enemy, and when I'm finished, I'm going to hit them with my sword, as long as there's a sword in my hand, and if I have no longer any weapon, I'm going to fight them with stones until I die with you. That's what Muslim ibn Awsajah said. But remember, under what context? There's not a room full of people here. Nobody cares what you're doing. Everybody thinks you're crazy. That's the context. Okay? And finally, when Muslim ibn Awsajah fought his fight and did what he had to do, he came to the battleground and he came to his last moments, he came to his death, to his martyrdom. Imam Hussein, out of respect for this great man, walked towards him before he died and was there with him in his last moments. And Habib ibn Mudahir was also there. He told him, ask you, tell me, what is your last wish? Tell me, do you want me to do anything? Your parents, your friends, your companions, your family. Is there anything you want me to tell you? To tell them about them. Although I myself am going to meet my death as well. I would have liked still to know what you have to say. He said, I enjoin you with regards to this man, that you make sure, and he was pointing to Imam Hussein, that you make sure that death will not meet him before it meets you. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Thank you for the brothers and sisters who contributed actively tonight to commemorate the great companions of Imam Hussein. And I will close with what the great companion, Muslim ibn Awsajah, close by. Wasiyah, the will, the advice, whatever one loves and wish that it will happen, is that you carry the message through your life. Those great companions, They carry the message to the last